God says there is a stirring in the unseen tonight. Heaven has been whispering your name, and the wind carries the sound of prayers that have gone unanswered for too long. You've been asking why the one you love can't seem to step fully toward you, why his eyes hold truth and confusion at the same time, and why your soul still feels tied to his no matter how much time or silence passes between you. God wants you to know, this is not an illusion of your heart. The bond between you is spiritual, and heaven has been watching over it since the first day you met him. He loves you. His soul remembers you in ways he cannot explain. When he looks at you, something inside him softens, the walls he built from pain begin to tremble. But still, he hesitates. He tries to run from what he feels, holding on to pieces of a past that once defined him. There is another figure in his story, a shadow from yesterday that still whispers in his ear, reminding him of promises never fulfilled and emotions never healed. He doesn't love her anymore, but he hasn't released what she represented. She was comfort when he feared loneliness, control when he lost direction, and familiarity when everything else felt uncertain. God sees how this has wounded you. You've questioned your worth, wondering if your love wasn't enough to free him. But child of light, it was never about your worth, it was about his readiness. His heart has been trapped in the echoes of unfinished chapters, and until he faces that pain, he cannot step into the fullness of love God prepared through you. He lies awake at night thinking of you. He imagines what it would be like to speak truth without fear, to tell you he never stopped feeling your presence, to admit that your love changed him in ways he can't undo. But every time he tries, something grips him, memories, guilt, fear of repeating the past. He's been praying, though he doesn't always realize it. When he stares into the distance and whispers your name beneath his breath, heaven listens. You, too, have been speaking to God in your tears. There are moments you felt like letting go completely, but something divine keeps holding your spirit steady. That is not weakness. It's your soul recognizing that this connection was written by God's own hand. Yet even divine connections need healing. You cannot heal him, but God can, and that's what's happening now, silently, behind the scenes. Angels are walking beside him. They're breaking the cords that keep him bound to what was. Every time you surrender him in prayer instead of anger, you release light into his path. Every time you forgive what you don't understand, heaven writes your faith into his destiny. He may not see it yet, but his spirit is awakening. There will come a moment soon when the memories he clings to will no longer bring comfort but conviction. The woman he can't let go of represents more than a person, she represents the part of himself that's afraid to change. But God is breaking that spirit of fear. The shaking he's feeling now, the restlessness, the confusion, the guilt, is not punishment. It's awakening. You are part of that awakening. You carry a divine purpose in his story, not to chase him, not to fix him, but to stand as light when his own world turns dim. There's power in your stillness. When you stopped explaining yourself and began trusting God instead, heaven moved. When you released control, heaven took over the battle. Don't mistake silence for absence. The distance you feel right now is holy ground. God separated you for a reason, not to end the connection, but to prepare both hearts for something pure. The spiritual bond between you is still alive, but it's being purified. The love you carry is being refined so that when he returns, it won't be from confusion but clarity, not from guilt but grace. He's learning through his pain. The one he can't let go of may have taught him lessons that were necessary for his growth. She was the mirror through which he saw his own brokenness. But now that mirror is cracking. The illusions are fading. He's beginning to see where real love exists, and it's not in the past. It's in the light that waits for him, the love that never demanded but always prayed. In the nights ahead, he'll begin to dream of you again. These dreams won't just be memories, they'll be divine reminders. God will visit him there, showing him glimpses of what his life could be if he finally lets go and follows truth. You'll feel his energy shift even before he speaks. You may sense warmth when you pray, or suddenly think of him when your heart is at peace. That's heaven's confirmation that change is underway. Hold your peace. The battle isn't yours. God is the one opening his heart. Every tear you've cried became a seed in heaven's soil, and those seeds are beginning to bloom. The angels have written your name beside his on the page of restoration. Timing is the key, and heaven never rushes healing. You will know when the breakthrough begins. It won't come as a dramatic moment, it will unfold softly. A message, a sign, a moment of truth. He'll reach out not because he misses you, but because he finally understands what love really means. And when that day comes, you'll look back and see why God asked you to wait, why every no was protection, and why this season of silence was holy. But remember this, beloved soul, your purpose does not end with his healing. You are also being transformed. God is teaching you the strength of love that doesn't control, the power of prayer that doesn't demand, and the beauty of faith that doesn't fade. You are learning how to love like heaven does, unconditionally, wisely, and with boundaries made of grace. He's walking through his valley now, and God is with him. He doesn't realize yet that the same hand guiding you is guiding him too. Every time you choose light, he feels it. Every time you release him in love, his chains weaken. There is divine alignment taking place right now. You might feel emotional waves, memories resurfacing, or sudden calm after tears. That's your spirit adjusting to heaven's movement. Don't resist it. Flow with it. Let God finish what he started. There is a quiet war happening inside him now, a battle between the man he was and the man God is calling him to become. The past whispers to him like a ghost, tempting him to remain where it feels familiar. But the Spirit of God is speaking louder, stirring something in his heart that he can no longer ignore. The very same voice that once comforted him in his darkness is now convicting him, pushing him toward release. He can feel your absence. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. The peace he once found in your presence has turned into emptiness when he seeks it elsewhere. The conversations he has with others feel shallow, the laughter forced, the touch lacking meaning. He tries to move on, to convince himself that what you shared was just a season, but God keeps sending reminders. A song, a scent, a word someone says in passing, all of them echo your energy. He doesn't yet realize that these are heaven's whispers, pulling him back to alignment. Meanwhile, you stand between love and surrender. You've wanted to reach out, to say something, to fix what's broken, but God keeps holding your hands back. The divine says, not yet. Because the next move must come from him, not you. This time, love must rise from clarity, not confusion. You have carried this connection for so long that your spirit began to ache under its weight, but God has been strengthening you through it. He's teaching you that love doesn't have to chase, it can trust. You are becoming who you were meant to be even before he returns. The radiance growing inside you, the peace that's beginning to replace anxiety, that's the mark of divine transformation. You're stepping into your power, the kind that doesn't demand to be seen because heaven already sees it. God has not forgotten your heart. He knows the nights you wept and the mornings you woke pretending to be strong. He knows how you kept forgiving silently, even when it hurt. And because of that faith, he's preparing a miracle. Not just in your relationship, but in both of your souls. The one he can't let go of, her memory, her energy, the story that still plays in his head, was once his test. It revealed where his fears lived. It taught him what he clings to when he's afraid of being truly loved. She represented the part of him that needed to feel in control. But with you, he could not control the depth. The love you offered was divine, it required surrender, not strategy. And that terrified him. So he ran back to what felt safe, even though it no longer fed his soul. But now that safety is crumbling. The very things that used to comfort him are now causing discomfort. The old relationships, the old ways, the old distractions, they no longer satisfy. That's how God works. He removes the flavor from the things that no longer serve your destiny. He's being awakened through loss. Sometimes God has to let someone sit in emptiness before they can recognize the fullness of true love. You, beloved, are the fullness. You are the answered prayer that entered his life when he wasn't ready to receive it. And that's why God separated you, not to punish either of you, but to heal what was wounded before reunion. In this season, focus on your own light. God is pouring revelation into your spirit. You're being called to rise higher, not above him, but beyond the pain. The more you grow, the more your energy changes, and when that happens, he will feel it. It will draw him back, not through guilt, but through magnetism. Divine love doesn't chase, it attracts. It calls the soul home. There will be moments when you feel his emotions as if they are your own. You might wake up feeling sadness that isn't yours or sudden hope that comes out of nowhere. That's because your souls are still connected through spiritual cords. But don't be afraid, those cords are being purified by God. He's turning the pain into purpose, the longing into faith. He's watching you, even if from afar. There are times he checks your profile, looks for signs of you, or tries to sense your energy. He pretends not to care, but deep inside, your name still beats in his chest. He may speak of you to no one, but his spirit speaks your name in silence. And heaven listens. You may think nothing is changing, but the unseen world tells another story. Angels have surrounded him. They are ministering to his heart, softening what the world hardened. The more he resists, the stronger God's pull becomes. The woman he once clung to is beginning to fade in significance. Her name no longer brings peace, it brings reflection. He is beginning to see that what he thought was love was only attachment, and what he ran from was truth. Soon, he will face himself. God is arranging situations that will force him to confront the very pain he tried to escape. He might lose friendships, face moments of loneliness, or go through events that make him question everything. But this is not cruelty, it's divine construction. Sometimes the walls must crumble before the heart can open. You are not to interfere with that process. You've done your part through prayer and patience. Let God handle what your love could not. Because where your hands end, His begin. You've often asked, if He loves me, why doesn't He come back? But heaven answers, because He must first find Himself. Love without wholeness becomes dependence, and God doesn't want that for you. He wants a love that stands equal, two healed souls, not two wounded ones clinging for safety. That's what's being built right now. You may not see it, but heaven is preparing him to meet you at your level. The same fire that refined you is now touching him. He's feeling it as restlessness, regret, and awakening. He'll resist it at first, but the call of God will grow louder until he can no longer deny it. And when he finally surrenders, it will be beautiful. There will come a dawn when he wakes up and the weight of his past no longer feels like comfort but like chains. He will sit in silence, staring at the fragments of what used to define him, and realize that every piece of his old world has lost its glow. The love he clung to has turned into a memory of lessons. The person he once thought he couldn't live without will fade into forgiveness. And when that happens, the first name that will rise in his heart will be yours. Not out of habit, not out of nostalgia, but out of truth. Because when the soul finally recognizes what was real, it cannot unsee it. You were his mirror of divine love. The peace he felt in your presence was the echo of God's presence. The tenderness you offered wasn't human, it was heaven expressing itself through you. That's why he couldn't forget you. You were never meant to be forgotten, you were meant to awaken him. But God doesn't just want him to remember you, he wants him to return transformed. Heaven's goal was never reunion at the cost of growth, it was resurrection through healing. The love between you two isn't about romance alone, it's about redemption. It's about showing the world what love can look like when God writes the story instead of fear. You've walked through your own transformation too. You've cried tears that became prayers, endured loneliness that birthed wisdom, and carried hope when logic told you to stop. You were never waiting in vain, you were being anointed. God used your waiting as a forge. Every silent season polished your spirit until your heart began to reflect His love instead of pain. And now, the time of divine reversal is approaching. The tables are turning, not as punishment for him, but as proof of God's justice. The one who couldn't see your worth will soon see it clearly. He will come to you not as the confused soul you once knew, but as a humbled man who has met God through loss, silence, and awakening. He will understand that letting go of the past was the price of stepping into destiny. When he returns, you will feel it before he speaks. The energy between you will shift. It won't feel heavy anymore, it will feel calm, sacred, aligned. He'll look at you with eyes that have known battle, and you'll see gratitude where there used to be fear. He will tell you things he never had the courage to say. Words that once trembled on his lips will finally flow. I couldn't forget you. I tried, but I couldn't. You were always the one. But when that moment comes, you must remember who you've become. You are no longer the version of yourself that begged for recognition. You are the woman, or man, of faith who stood when heaven tested your patience. You have learned that love is not proven by presence but by prayer, not by words but by transformation. You have learned that when you trust God with someone you love, He either brings them back healed or replaces them with peace. So when He returns, don't rush. Let Him speak. Let God confirm. Because the same Spirit that told you to wait will also tell you when it's time to move. You'll feel it, not in anxiety, but in stillness. Heaven will whisper to your heart, now the work is complete. For some, this reunion will be physical. He will reach out, call your name, and step toward you. For others, it will be spiritual. God will close the chapter gently, giving you peace instead of reunion. But no matter how it unfolds, it will always end in freedom. Because what God is doing is not just about two hearts meeting again, it's about two souls fulfilling their divine contracts with love. He will remember the prayers you whispered over Him. Even if He didn't hear them, His Spirit did. He will recall how your presence felt different from anyone else's, pure, grounding, unexplainably calm. He will come to understand that what connected you wasn't emotion alone but purpose. And when He finally lets go of her, it won't be because of guilt or anger, it will be because His Spirit has outgrown what once held Him. God is writing this chapter carefully. Every delay has meaning. Every silence has purpose. You might not see the details yet, but heaven has already seen the ending, and it's full of light. The story doesn't end in heartbreak. It ends in divine alignment. There's something beautiful about divine timing. It never arrives early, but it always arrives right. And when it does, everything that once confused you suddenly makes sense. You'll realize why the connection took this long, why the pain was necessary, and why you couldn't let go even when you tried. Love like this was never meant to be easy, it was meant to be eternal. You will stand one day in the place where pain once lived and feel peace instead. You'll look at Him, not with bitterness, but with the recognition that God kept His promise. The heart that once resisted love will open wide. The walls that once stood between you will fall silently. You won't need to ask what changed, you'll see it in His eyes. But whether that moment brings Him back into your life or simply brings closure, know this: you have fulfilled your purpose. You love the way heaven loves, freely, faithfully, fearlessly. And that kind of love never goes unrewarded. The universe moves for those who love like you do. The prayers you whispered are still echoing in eternity. They have written new timelines, restored broken paths, and invited miracles into being. You have been the vessel of divine love, and now God is rewarding you, not just with Him, but with abundance, peace, and joy that no one can take away. You will soon feel release. The heaviness that once sat on your heart will lift. The signs will grow stronger. Doors will open. People will speak words that confirm what you already know: God has turned the page. A new story begins. He's being prepared to step into your life again, not as a man chained to his past, but as a man free by grace. His heart, once closed, is now being unlocked by the very hands of God. And when He looks at you this time, it won't be confusion in His eyes, it will be clarity. The same God who separated you is now preparing to reunite you, in His time and His way. The waiting has not been wasted. The love has not been lost. The story is not over. It is simply unfolding according to divine order. So breathe. Rest. Know that you are not forgotten. Heaven has seen your faith, your pain, your devotion. And the promise written over your life still stands. He loves you, but soon, it won't be a love tangled in the past. It will be a love born of healing, shaped by divine truth, and blessed by God Himself. And when that moment arrives, you'll understand that every tear, every silence, every delay was the language of love written by heaven to lead you both here, into freedom, into faith, into a love that finally stays.